I am joined by Denver Broncos head coach Vic Fangio, who is here to share some insight on the newest head coach of the Los Angeles Chargers, Brandon Staley. Vic, thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you for having me.
You know Brandon very, very well. You guys go back. What are the Chargers getting in him as a head coach?
Well, they're getting an excellent football coach first and foremost. The guy's very knowledgeable about the game, both sides of the ball. He spends a lot of time studying football besides just coaching his position like he did for us here in Chicago. He's always looking at the big picture of football and always looking at the new things, and trying to stay on top of anything that might be developing in the NFL or in the football world for that matter. And he's always done a good job of that.
He got his start with you as an outside linebackers coach for the Chicago Bears. What did you see in him to give him his first opportunity in the NFL?
Well, we were looking for a young guy to hire in that position that was going to work with me for the first, year or so. And he did that. He impressed me in the interview. I think he's got really good knowledge, like I said earlier. And that knowledge was obvious when I interviewed him. He was hungry to learn more and get to the next level. I just felt like during the interview with him that he was what I was looking for, and we hired him. And he's progressed nicely and quickly, as we've all seen. He was a great addition to our staff in Chicago and here in Denver. And when Sean McVay called me last year with interest in him to be the defensive coordinator for the Rams, I wasn't surprised, and I knew Sean was going to be impressed and probably hire him, and he did. And he had a great year out there with the Rams.
He obviously spent 3 seasons with you, like you said, under 2 teams. How would you describe his coaching style?
He's kind of a cerebral guy. He's up to date. I'm relating to players. I think he's very calm and patient, doesn't get flustered in his relations with the players, always tries to show them the reasons and the whys behind the things that we're trying to do or he's trying to do with them. And he has a good way with the players one-on-one.
There's been a lot that's written and been said about his creativity and innovation. You talk about him sort of staying up to date on trends, but where does that drive to do that come from?
I think it's just something he's always done throughout his career, even when he was coaching at the lower levels of college football. They have access to a lot of video from the NFL. And you could tell that he was studying that. He was studying our defenses when I was in San Francisco years ago, was very knowledgeable on that. And he's done that with other defenses and offenses. So he tries to stay ahead of the curve and be on top of anything and everything that's new out there. And he did a great job bringing all that knowledge to the Rams this year. I've watched a lot of their tape. It was verbatim, almost to the point where he was doing what we did in Chicago, what we do here in Denver. And it was nice to see him take that and have the success that he had.
Staley has lots of time going deep in the end zone. Touchdown! Hayley keeps it, changes direction, touchdown.
He's obviously been a defensive coach, but he's a former quarterback. So how will that experience help him now that he's in charge of overseeing an entire football team?
I think quarterback experience is very advantageous to anybody. You see the football world from a different perspective, and it's the most important position in football. And for him to have that background and that feel what it's like to play quarterback can only help him. And again, I think that points back to his global knowledge of the game, not just defense, but offense also.
The phrase meteoric rise has been uttered a lot ever since his hiring. What has his very quick rise in this league shown you?
Well, then anything's possible. Brandon's beaten a lot of odds, throughout his life. And this is another one. And I knew when I saw that he was getting 3 or 4 interviews that it was a strong possibility he would land one of them, because I knew that the people doing the interviewing would be very, very impressed with him. Although it's a small body of work in the NFL, it's been an impressive body of work. I think he's going to do a great job with the Chargers, and I think they'll be very happy with what they got.
We've talked obviously a lot about him as a coach, but what is the team getting in him as a person?
Well, he's a compassionate guy. He's been through a lot himself physically. I think that's helped him keep a good perspective on life and with his relationships with the players. I think they're going to be getting a level-headed guy. It's not going to seem too big for him. And I think he'll handle all the ups and downs of being the head coach of an NFL team that comes with that. very, very well.
And then lastly, Vic, you mentioned it up top, but what is it going to be like going against him this season?
It'll be different, but once the ball is kicked off, it's just the Chargers versus the Broncos, and there's enough involved there without worrying about it Staley versus me. So it will be a nice build up to the game, but once the game started, it won't matter.
Well, we really appreciate you coming on again, sharing all the insight about Brandon. We really thank you for doing that.
You're welcome, and good luck.